What is good? We're back. And we have the third round of the mock draft, Superflex tight end premium that Matt Kelly, Shough, and I had started earlier. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and tune into that. A lot of fireworks at the middle to end of that fun show with us and Matt Kelly. Had a good time with that one, but we didn't get to the third round, and I thought there was a lot of good information here. So what we have going on is we have a rookie mock based on an NFL mock. So we have the capital and the landing spots for all these players. So before we get going, I'm going to give you an idea of who's left if you haven't seen the other mock, or if you just came over from that mock. Let's recap. All right. So in round two, in the NFL mock that we have, Tyler Shough is available. Taylor is still available for a round two player, Mason Taylor, that is, and he went to Jacksonville. Tyler Shough went to Cleveland, and Quinn Ewers went to New Orleans. So those are all the round two guys left. And then the round three guys currently left are Ayomanor, who went to New England in this scenario. We got Isaiah Bond, who went to Carolina in this scenario. We got Jack Bech, who went to Dallas. Terrance Ferguson, who went to Houston. We have Jalen Milroe in the third round to Pittsburgh. And then we have Tory Horton going to Green Bay. And then some fourth round options. We have Harold Fannin going to Cincinnati. Gunnar Helm going to New York. We have Kyle Williams, who's already off the board. Cam Skattebo to Pittsburgh. Jaden Blue to Green Bay. Mitchell Evans to the Chargers. Dominic Lovett, who I'm not going to lie, haven't watched any tape on Lovett. I believe that's a Georgia wide receiver. So he went to the Rams. Trevor Etienne goes to Washington. Jordan James goes to New Orleans in the fourth round like that. Devin Neal off the board going to Buffalo. So that caused him to slide a little bit, but Shough came in and snapped him up anyway. And that's what we do, right? When a draft comes and a guy that you like and he gets in a landing spot and a little bit later capital, you don't let him go. You don't say, oh, I'm off of that guy now. You adjust your rankings accordingly. You see where the value is, and then you go in and you make sure you pounce on him again. Because if you did all the work and you like that guy, believe in the process and get paid, because he's going to hit eventually. We got Bayshul Tuten going to Kansas City in the fourth round, Kyle McCord going to Miami, Nick Nash going to Baltimore, and RJ Harvey, who's off the board, going to San Fran with just a gold landing spot there. And then some of our favorites of the Ollie Gordons, or the crowd favorites of Ollie Gordon, 6th round pick in this mock, right? So hasn't really been brought up. Our Brashard Smith went over to the 7th round, went to the New York Giants. Jarquez Hunter goes in the 6th round to Baltimore. Woody Marks to Cleveland in the 6th round. Giddens going to Houston in the 5th. Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech going to Miami. Xavier Restrepo going to Minnesota. Will Howard going to Vegas in the 5th round. Dante Thornton to the Jets. Tez Johnson to Philly. Damian Martinez to Carolina. Dylan Gabriel to Seattle. So bunch of different options in there. I'm sure Jason will throw this up on the board. So we're going to continue in the third round here, going pick by pick. We'll pick it right up with the 301. Now, Mason Taylor is available. It's Superflex tight end premium, as per usual, here for the FF Dynasty. We mentioned the second round players: Mason Taylor, tight end premium; Tyler Shough going to Cleveland; Ewers. Going to pass on all those guys. Milroe's interesting here, going to Pittsburgh in the 3rd round. Maybe he sits behind Rodgers and then, gets okay capital and is interesting here. But I'm going Harold Fannin Jr. over my guy over my guy Mason Taylor here, who's getting passed up like he did something wrong. But Fannin just gets the landing spot, and hey, 2nd round to 4th round, I'm sure there's some numbers that support this is not the best move you could possibly make, but I want the tight end time to Joe Burrow, who is fairly athletic and seems like this is a marriage made in heaven here for Fannin fans, and it's 301. So I'm going to take a shot tight end premium of what could be a really, really fun triplets over there in Fanning, T, and Chase.
I can't tell you. Yeah, Jamar, Chase Brown, the Chase, T. Higgins, all that. Just this pissed me off because I really wanted to make this pick and talk about it for myself. So congrats, Casey. You
probably taking Mason Taylor on the odds.
I tried to goad you into it. I was like, yeah, Mason Taylor's still on the board. He's a 2nd round pick, tight end premium. Yeah, I can't pass on a landing spot like that. Britton Strange, who? You didn't fall for it though. I respect it.
I got too addicted to the aroma of the landing spot rather than the draft capital.
I mean, listen, there is no point.
Jacksonville's a good landing spot.
It's decent. Like, it's cool. But Britton Strange. Is he
he's
nothing?
A second round pick too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a second. Like, what is this? I'm not going to derail us like I did earlier. But Britton Strange was a second round pick. Like, why are we spending day 2 picks in back-to-back years on tight, or in 2 out of 3 years on tight ends? What are we doing?
Different regime, I guess. Getting their guys.
I guess, but I mean, what did Britton Strange do? The super nerdy looking GM dude that looks like he's like 13. He looks like Ellen DeGeneres. That's what he looks like. the Jaguars GM Ellen DeGeneres came out and it said that Britton Strange is going to be a part of the offense. He said that he's earned a bigger look to be an opportunity to be a bigger part of the offense. So, yeah, I was trying to goad you to take a Mason Taylor. You wouldn't do it. Now I'm pissed because you got Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin was the steam behind Harold Fannin from the last college football game being played up through probably him running the 40 at the combine was just, I mean, it was outlandish. He got outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I still think he's going to be a great pro. I still think he's going to be a great pro. I still believe it's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah, and I guess, the athletic testing wasn't what and I said he's athletic, and the athletic testing wasn't what you wanted to be. But you got a guy on Bowling Green who went and did work against Power 5 schools and isn't that more receiving mold of tight end than your traditional, pass blocking inline kind of guy. So Fanning, I just feel like fits really well with what they would be wanting to do there.
It's just such an awkward, just when you watch him, it's really awkward looking. It's like his knees are too close together when he runs. I don't know how to explain it, but he just gets open. I mean, he cooked against Penn State and Texas A&M. So
yeah.
What if he were an SEC tight end doing this, we would all stand up and take note and say, hey, that guy's Irv Smith Jr. reincarnated, and he would get second or third round draft capital. But here he goes to a team that's going to have to score 700 points a week to win. And you get him at the beginning of the third round in a tight end premium.
Yeah.
Love
and
that
I mean, and
super thrilled.
The third round here is kind of the leftovers ish, but it's important. These guys that you get in the third round can take a team who's been a competitor for a while, and maybe you're starting to think about a rebuild and bring that vibe right back to, hey, we're ready to crush. You hit with guys like Puka Nacua. You hit with, the couple of running backs over the last few years. Now you have to pick the right ones, but Kyron, Bucky, Chase Brown, those guys have given rosters that were either rebuilding, middling, or contenders just even more life to kind of run it back. Puka's, one of the best dynasty assets you can get. You've seen guys like Tillman kind of rising up, and we've seen guys like Nico Collins finally rise from Phoenix and from the ashes and be one of the best dynasty receivers we've seen. Unfortunately, Tank Dell had 2 separate injuries to kind of derail things a little bit. But,
I mean, that's the one. That's the one. I mean, both of the Texans receivers just getting a competent quarterback. I mean, Tank Dell, it happens immediately for Nico Collins. You have to wait a couple years. I was banging the Nico drum in going into the 2022 season. I said, hey, Nico, this is something. This dude, from Michigan, he's 6'4", he's 250. He moves different. He moves like some really good players in the league, and he's huge. But Davis Mills could only had eyes for Brandon Cook, so it didn't happen. And then CJ Stroud happens. He's even more discounted, and now he's probably a top 7 dynasty wide receiver.
Right. But again, it's about making the right selection here and not just using an overall arching theme of, well, this percentage says you got no. You could but if you keep taking the wrong one, so it's in here, it's doing that. Let me know about the percentages, then let me know which ones you're going to come and target and do the work on, and then that's who you're going to come in the third round and make your 3 or 4 educated guesses on, or throughout your drafts in that third round, and those guys can make a huge difference. So who you got at 3-2?
I got one of the exciting ones. I got Cam Skattebo.
Skattebo. Going to Pittsburgh, 4th round.
Going to Pittsburgh. If there was ever a stylistic fit for the identity of a team and what their fans want and a player, this is it. This is absolute. This is the nuts.
He is Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this matches up perfectly. His running style, the attitude mixed with Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith wanting to run the ball until there's no air left in it, plus the identity of that culture that's been established. This is a hand in glove fit. Getting him in the 3rd round right here feels like a steal. And again, it doesn't hurt you to take a shot on a guy in the 3rd round. One, we're talking about 1,700 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving. So I know he's labeled as just a bruiser, but for me,
he's such a good receiver.
He's a complete running back. Yeah. If he were not one of the exciting ones, he would not be in the 3rd round right here.
Yeah, which Chev is meaning an exciting white and fits perfectly. And also over the last couple of years, the guys who have been hitting in the 3rd round aren't the guys with the advanced analytic profiles for the running backs. So don't let the analytical guys fool you about the running backs to take there, because they haven't been taking the right ones. They've been taking the wrong ones. And Skattebo almost fits directly into what all the poor testing kept him down and then bouncing back up. So this seems like it could be the one right here to reference an exciting one.
Listen, I'm telling I'll say this. I feel like I can say this. If he were not white, there is zero chance that he would be in the 3rd round right now.
Yeah.
He is in the 3rd round because he is a white running back. Yeah. That's it. Like, I don't care. David Montgomery ran a 4.62 and was 10 pounds heavier. And he went in the 4th round of the NFL draft, and he's awesome. Yeah. But nobody was really questioning whether or not David Montgomery was a 3rd round pick. But anyway, like nobody questioned his ability to play. Right. Cam Skattebo forced 70 some odd missed tackles. He caught the ball out of the backfield. They entrusted him to play wildcat quarterback and make decisions with the football. I don't understand what else you want to see from him. You don't judge a running back by his 40 time. He made people miss. He punished people at the contact point, and he's a real coach on the field. He knows everybody's job. He's always in the right spot. Yeah,
just done. Lunch pail, hard hat.
Yeah, first guy in, last guy out kind of guy.
That's right.
I love Cam Skattebo and Skattebo, however the hell you say it.
Whatever.
I love watching him play football, and maybe that's my problem, is that I actually like watching these guys play football, and so I get a little bit wrapped up in what they've actually done on a football field as opposed to what a spreadsheet tells me sometimes. So do forgive me for that, spreadsheet warriors.
All right, I'm going to go 3-3. Mason Taylor, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Unexciting for me, but I think a value pick at this point. Brenton Strange is there in this scenario. They take him in the 2nd round, so the capital's there. He's a good player. I don't mean to belittle him by any means. Certainly could be the steal of the 3rd round as well, but Mason Taylor 3-3.
Yeah. I don't have anything.
We can keep it moving.
Okay. All right. I don't want to talk about Mason Taylor at all. If Mason Taylor, if your relatives are watching, I apologize profusely, but I have nothing to say about you. Good luck in the NFL. I'm going to go with the catching Canuck right here. I'm going to go with Elic Ayomanor, traits guy, traits special. I wish Jason were here so he could go, traits drink. But yeah, I absolutely, I love the landing spot. I mean, he goes to New England. They got Travis Hunter. I think that he could carve out a role for himself. Javon Baker, I don't know what's going to happen there. This kind of feels like they would be admitting the mistake of Javon Baker and Jalen Polk and re-rolling with the Booty Warrior and Elic Ayomanor and Travis Hunter as the revamp, and Demario Douglas as the revamped wide receiver core. So yeah, I can't pass up on that. You're just surrounding Drake May. You're surrounding your rookie quarterback with weapons. What a novel concept.
Yeah. Well, and you can bring, you're bringing competition into that room. Maybe you can get the best out of Polk or Baker or one of those guys to really step up. And, now that seems like a very New England pick right here with Ayomanor as well. We talked about it with Skattebo. Seems like a New England style kind of fit here. Him or Bech.
Bech would be the chef's kiss, but we'll take Ayomanor. They're very similar.
Yeah, I like Bech slightly more. So at 305, I'm going to take Bech going to Dallas. Gives you a secondary target. Well, I guess in this scenario, Tyler Warren went there, which we really like. So really revamps this offense, right? You have Caleb Johnson, you have Tyler Warren, and now you're adding Jack Bech there for Dallas, which, I think what Dallas really needs to get to is back to them trenches and reinvest there. And I think I would be in this scenario. Genty didn't make it to him, but I'd be interested to see if they would take Genty at 12 if he was there. But I took Jack Bech in this scenario. Jack Bech just would also give them a brand of football that they don't really have kind of over there. We talked about it when we talked about Judkins possibly going there a while on the show, but Bech would kind of give you that big physical, just different brand. And obviously Warren would bring that to you too in this scenario there. But I think Bech is can win on the intermediate, can win on the vertical, good at the catch point, and just strong kind of my ball mentality. And so, Jack Bech 305, Dallas, 3rd round pick in the actual draft here. So
love that. All right, I'm going Jalen Milroe. I can't continue. I can't keep that charade up.
I should have taken Milroe before this, but
I mean, it's very difficult because again, if you watched him struggle at the end of last year, I said, man, there's no chance that this dude's an NFL quarterback. But again, he's got the requisite starts. Hopefully Pittsburgh brings somebody in to where they're not reliant on him immediately. And he just kind of plays sparingly and they just use his legs and he has time to really develop his ability as a thrower and processor. Because those are the big issues. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's a 4.3. He runs a 4.3. So yeah, I'm taking Jalen Milroe here because the upside is Justin Fields-esque from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, I mean this is all upside shot with Milroe. 3rd round, the percentage continues to drop for whether or not quarterback is.
Hey, we're gonna have to play a drinking game with percentages if you keep this up.
Yeah, quarterbacks. It is an interesting dichotomy, but he's a different kind of cat, and I think this would be a nice placeholder to see if they could develop something with Aaron Rodgers being there for a year or two, and it all signs to me point to Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy for Pittsburgh. Kind of moving forward here at least for a year, and then Milroe going in the 3rd round with just the kind of wheels and athleticism he has. I know a lot of people think Anthony Richardson stinks and is never going to play football again or be good. But, if Anthony Richardson can make it, Milroe could possibly make it too. I'm not in that camp. I think Anthony Richardson is going to have going to be just fine. He's going to figure it out. He's going to put the work in. That's really all I care about. Does Milroe put the work in?
We know Milroe puts the work in. Like that's the one thing I think. Part of his slide is the end of season finish combined with the fact that we're fresh off of Anthony Richardson, and that gets double counted against quarterbacks who struggle with throwing with anticipation, who are really athletic. So pick 83, Pittsburgh Steelers. I like it. I love the landing spot. It's obviously why I made the pick here. And again, he could run his way into a top 10 season if he's given the reins and just able to just go play ball.
Yeah, no, definitely a fun pick. 3rd round, Superflex. Why not? Probably should have been earlier. Some people would argue maybe even in the 2nd round, but not these two guys. Not right now. All right, 3-7. I'm going to go Tory Horton. He gets 3rd round capital, goes to Green Bay. Smells like a really Green Bay type of deal here. You get a bigger player here as far as height wise. He's 6'3", 6'2", $185. He's had in his last year at Colorado State. Now, definitely a little older. He transferred to Nevada, 5th-year player, but 96 receptions, 1,100 yards.
He's a player. He's a player. They're like the long and short of it is that Tory Horton is a really good receiver who's getting bumped down because of the fact that we believe the receiver class is bad and he was a fifth year guy. Now, if you cut on the tape from 2023 when they played Colorado, he was the best player on the field. And you've heard me say that now about Devin Neal. You've heard me say that now about Tory Horton because it was stark. And so I've kind of kept my eyes on him. This was a weird year for him because they changed the way that they used him, but they also spoon-fed him so many targets short.
Yeah.
So he could do a lot more than what he was asked to do and what his 2024 tape would allude to.
Yeah, I think he can give the Packers somebody that can win vertically. I think he can get down the field, but you can also manufacture him some touches like you said, they were kind of doing that a little more in this season. But he's put up a bunch of really good seasons in 22. He had 71 for 1,131 receiving yards, 15.9 of reception and 8 touchdowns. He can play inside or out. He was in the slot 28.5% of the time, out wide 71% of the time. And that number pretty much sticks around for most of his career. He's 81% out wide in 22. But had a good receiving grade from PFF. But again, like you said, old as fuck. So, people, and then, had an injury at the end of in this year. I thought he was going to come out last year and be a sleeper kind of pick and was one of my favorites, and then went back for an extra year. Unfortunately, they kind of were mysterious about the injury. They didn't really disclose like exactly what it was. I don't know if they just kind of tweaked something and shut him down, or if there was something a little more serious. I really like this player. I think he can give you some versatility, as well as, going to Green Bay, having a good system, having a good quarterback, having other good receivers around him. I think Tory Horton in the third round is a nice shot to take here of somebody who could have a little breakout.
Important note here, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are going into the last years of their contract, along with, I believe, Samori Toure, if he's still on the team. So you've got 3 guys that are going into the final year of their rookie deal. Christian Watson's not going to be available for at least the first 2 to 4 games of the season after tearing his ACL. And you don't know what's going to happen with Dontavian Wicks. I put an article and a video out about how I would buy him in Dynasty, but we don't know what the status of his hands are. Does he have normal wide receiver hands? He had 9 drops in 2024. Does he put the gloves on and the fingers immediately turn into Megan Fox thumbs? We don't know. So this is that landing spot boosts him up a bit because of the fact that there's so much uncertainty moving forward with the Green Bay Packers wide receiver core.
Yeah. Yeah. The combine had him at 6'2.5", 196. So a little thicker and a little skinnier, or a little shorter than what I said. But like I said, 4.41 at the combine. That's on the tape of how he can stretch you, but he's not just a stretch receiver either. He can do some other things.
He did work underneath. Like they used him so much underneath this year. It was weird.
57 first downs. That was 5th overall. So chain mover. He can get that for you. He can kind of do all the dirty work, but can really excel stretching the field as well, and pretty decent in the contested situation. So Tory Horton coming in at 307. All right, who you got next at 308?
Tyler Shough. Now, he's old. He's even older than Bo Nix was, and we made fun of Bo Nix and Michael Penix for being quadruple seniors or whatever. But he's even older than them. But this is a guy with all the tools that you want in a quarterback. If you're going to build a quarterback and say, "Hey, I want my quarterback to be able to do X, Y, Z," that would be Tyler Shough. The problem is his brain short circuits sometimes. I saw there's a clip floating around Twitter of him throwing an underhanded interception about 20 yards down the field, like as he's falling down. So I didn't know the context of the play. I just said, okay, so you've been in college since before COVID hit, and this is the decision that you're making. But he gets the draft capital. He's pick 33 to the Cleveland Browns in this exercise, and he does have a live arm. He was one of the only quarterbacks to run a 40. He runs a 4.6. His burst score was great. I think he had a 10-foot broad jump, which is really good for a quarterback, and he's bigger. I believe he goes, 6'4", 219, if I'm not mistaken, or 6'4". He's in the 6'4" range, and he's well over 200 pounds. So he's got the frame. He's a prototypical size quarterback. And I think that he has all the tools. We just we're working with a shorter window because he's old. 6'5", 219. Forgive me, guys.
Oh.
He's an inch taller.
Some athleticism there, like you mentioned, and he's certainly getting steamy right now. I don't really like this move by Cleveland and
no.
Really at all. But if he gets the capital and goes there, it seems like he'll get an opportunity, and that's what you want as a quarterback. And if you're getting in the third round, there's a lot of injuries with Shough here, and that's some of the reason why he's been around for so long. But the scouts and everything have really sold them on Shough here.
McShay did that shit. McShay was the one that started all this shit, and so now he's getting steamed up into. I mean, it pisses me off. I don't like it, to be honest with you. Like granted,
I hate him.
It's nice. Like it's good that he got to play a full season and that you have those tools. But McShay steamed him up in a way in which he shouldn't have, and now he's picked 33, and there's just no way he should be picked 33, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he was, and at that point, got to adjust and grab him just to see what'll happen. All right, 309, kind of same rationale as you just used here. I'm taking Quinn, the Eskimo Ewers. He's going in the second round in this particular mock draft that we were looking at. He goes to New Orleans, so I like a situation where Ewers can go and sit. Unfortunately, in this situation, Shough wouldn't really get to sit, or Kenny Pickett's playing for Cleveland. In this scenario, Ewers most likely gets to sit behind Carr for a year or two. Kellen Moore's there. I feel like that's a decent ecosystem for somebody like Ewers to go into and potentially get developed into something. It's 309 at this point. I think Ewers gets a ton of hate. All he did was take, Texas to 2 straight college football playoffs, win some games. I've seen him play some really good football and sort of like you said with Tyler Shough there, like you'll see him short circuit here or there where you're like, damn, what the fuck was that? And then other times it's like, damn, that ball was, you couldn't have placed it any better if you walked it to him. So he's got quite a range of outcomes, and it just seems like you'll see one 2-3 times a game where you're like, damn, but what were you doing? And then there's 2 or 3 times a game where you're like, damn, you put that ball exactly where it needed to be in a clutch moment. So it's there. There's the parts and pieces are there. And, coming from a Sarkisian system, which, he let him ride out another year of Arch. And I think that was another problem with Ewers this year is everybody's just clamoring for Arch and they're just
it was never going to be good enough. No matter what, unless he won the national championship, it was never going to be good enough. And he wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. For a guy that was touted as the highest rated quarterback in the history of 24/7, it never
materialized. Yeah.
It never came to it never materialized, never came to fruition. And I'm out on Quinn Ewers, but again, the draft capital, the quarterback guru, if we're calling Kellen Moore a quarterback guru. I mean, he's had success with really good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So at this point, we could say that he's at least
he's a guru in training.
He knows what it looks like.
Yeah.
If we're not going to give him full like Kevin O'Connell level credit. So he lands in New Orleans for this, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, I like it. All right, 310. Who you got?
This makes me so mad. This makes me so mad. I didn't want. But I can't continue to pass on. It's Isaiah Bond. This is another player where the idea of the player might actually be better than the actual player. And I mean, it just, he goes to Carolina, and it's as good. It's a great landing spot. There's opportunity as target share, and it pisses me off because I love Jalen Coker. I'm a cokehead. So it's cutting into the target share, and almost certainly they're not gonna shelf Xavier Legette and put their actual best receiver, Jalen Coker, on the field. So yeah, it cuts into Jalen Coker's target share probably, and that's not where I want to be. So yeah, I took Isaiah Bond because the value's there, the opportunity's there. He's a day 2 pick at this point, going to the Carolina Panthers. and he offers them a role that they don't currently have on the roster in a day one field stretcher, even though he didn't run a 4.19 like he promised, which also pissed me off.
Still pretty fast guy. Had a lot of coming into the season. He was one of the top 3 or 4 receivers that everyone thought would be a first round rookie draft pick. And now, I think me and you seem a little lower than consensus. Our ADP still has him floating around like 208 right now, which always befuddles me a little bit of why people are still so enamored with him. I think he got outclassed by Golden down the stretch, and obviously Bond's dealt with some injuries as well. I think he could be a good player. This is a great shot to take at 310. The pedigree is there. The athleticism is there, even though Bo, that you weren't going to do that. I don't know why you even said that. Why you say that? Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, man. Like, just because you
like we would be thrilled if he came out and ran 4.3 and we got the GPS scores and it said that he hit 23 miles an hour, which he did. Which he did. And his 20-yard start was faster than Matthew Golden. His 20-yard split was faster than Matthew Golden's.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like really sublime speed here. But nobody's talking about that because you wouldn't shut the fuck up about how you're going to run a 4.19.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe I should take him over Horton. I got an affinity for Horton there.
No, you've actually seen Horton be a good football player. We like good football players.
That's true. That's true. All right. 311. I took Tuten. He goes to Kansas City in the 4th round. I think people will be way more excited about it than me and Chev were on this particular show. Matt mentioned that he would, if Matt was still in this draft, he would have probably taken him early 3rd round. Had mentioned him at 212. So we waited on him. Look, Tuten blew up the combine. He's a fast player, a lot of athleticism, and I think that would really get the juices flowing for a lot of people of, getting another back in Kansas City that's highly athletic. At the running back position, I think he's fine. And that's why I kind of let him slide here. The landing spot's good. The athleticism's good. The capital's, fine enough, I guess. 4th round is
that's as early as they're probably going to take a running back.
Right. Is
everything else that they need. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So, it's just, it goes to a spot that could be juicy, man. We like that Kansas City offense, but I'm not in love with the player as much as maybe some other people were. And quite frankly, like he was a deep sleeper for some people, and then all of a sudden blew up the combine, and then everyone was really in love with him. And, I think he's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good shot at the end of the 3rd round because he, as you mentioned, he goes to Kansas City in this mock draft and he blew up the combine. You see it on his tape where he's hitting home runs and just running out of the frame of people. So, and he's not a small guy. I believe he was 206 at the combine. So I think that, again, in the 3rd round, you're taking shots. The percentages say that you should do that, but I don't mind it at all. I'm gonna go ahead and call my pick out. Yeah, Terrance Ferguson. I mentioned the fact that sometimes it looks like he's never played. He doesn't understand what football is when you ask him to pass block. I don't think that I elaborated on that part. So somebody was like, Chef sounds like he's never actually watched Terrance Ferguson play football. Yes, I've watched him play football. I watched him a lot. I went back and watched him again when somebody said that. So yes, I think his athleticism is going to steam him up a little bit. In this mock, he goes to the Texans, who do need someone who doesn't run a sundial-based 40 like Dalton Schultz playing tight end. I like the landing spot. I like the athleticism. I don't know what he's going to give you if he's not on the field running routes. So that's why he's this far back for us in a tight end premium, despite the athleticism and somewhat above average landing spot, I would say, for tight end. Yeah,
it could be really good. I think Schultz is a pretty solid tight end. gives CJ a nice security blanket and has had good years throughout his career, but not overly fast. This is a fine landing spot. There would probably be some others like that I might be a little more excited if Ferguson went there. I don't mind Ferguson. I think he's a pretty solid all around player, and the athleticism is good. It's tight end premium, so 312. Let's get another tight end on the board or off the board and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean we had to do something there, and I think that CJ Stroud's going to be trying to run for his life, and that might lead to dump offs for Dalton Schultz or Terrance Ferguson. Who knows? No. But in the third round, it's worth the shot call, especially after his combine performance.
Yeah. DJ Giddens, somebody else who would have been, kind of right in here. He was on the tip of my tongue for the 311 there. And then of course, both Chev and I like Brashard Smith. But like I said, mentioned he goes in like the 7th round of the Giants here. So, you can't take the 7th round running back right now. Now, I'll be trading into 4-9, 4-10, 4-11 to go ahead and get Brashard Smith if that is the way that it plays out. And he goes in the 7th round because I still believe in my guy. I know you would too. And so I'm still going to put him on the team, but we have to adjust that the NFL said this, and we got to adjust the value some, but we still want him on the team. Brashard Smith, Woody Marks goes in the 6th round to Cleveland. LaQuint Allen went in the 7th round. So Jarquez Hunter going to Baltimore is kind of fun late. And then Ollie Gordon, going in the 6th round here is why he's not in the 3rd round for either of us, I believe. So
no, I mean, I can't. I told you I can't continue to be disappointed by Ollie Gordon and be surprised by being disappointed by Ollie Gordon.
Yeah. Jordan James is a favorite of mine, which I probably should have taken over Tuten because I like him as a player much better. But the landing spot and speed attracted me a little there to the Tuten. Jaden Blue's interesting going in the 4th round to Green Bay, and Trevor Etienne going to Washington in the 4th round.
That's the one. That's
pretty interesting.
If I could have the 310 back, I would take Trevor Etienne over Bond.
Ooh. He said, man, fuck this guy.
Yeah, listen, I'm willing to be wrong. I will dig my heels in when I think that there's unjustified hype on a player, and you can't really, outside of the Gravedigger play where Milroe hit him in the back of the end zone. Like, what's his most notable, most memorable thing that he's done for in the college landscape?
Yeah.
Like, lose a job to Matthew Golden?
Yeah.
What is it? So yeah, I would probably take Trevor Etienne. I mean, that's a guy to me that whose skill set never really materialized at the University of Florida. He transfers to Georgia, gets the bad juju because of, chasing the bag, and then he looks not great throughout the whole season. I mean, it's up and down. I'm a Florida fan, so I was a little butthurt that he did that, but I still believe in the talent. He's just it's a really deep running back class, but I do like that landing spot quite a bit because Brian Robinson is in the last year of his contract, and Austin Eckler is also in the last year of his contract. And that, I mean, behind him, you just got the guy who they bounce back and forth in the practice squad, I believe, Chris Rodriguez.
Jeremy McNichols.
And like, if you don't belong, you don't deserve meaningful NFL touches if you can't supplant Jeremy McNichols. I'm sorry.
Yeah, David Martinez to Carolina, kind of interesting as well. So, all right, let's wrap this one up. Late round targets for your pleasure. Just finishing up this 3rd round of that mock with all these landing spots. It's too much fun to not finish up that 3rd and have some conversations about this capital and these landing spots. But as you can see, the capital and the landing spot can push, move, pull all sorts of different factors into your consideration of how these rookie drafts are going to play out. Chev, where can we find you?
Just go on X. Just go on X and scroll at Chev90. I'll be probably tweeting something that I was on or, I put out or something like that. So just go and follow me on X and you'll get all the Chev doer that you can handle.
Love it. you want more of us, go over to the Patreon, $5, $10 hollers. You got free Discord, all that jazz. If you haven't already, please give us a 5-star review on whatever you're listening on. All you got to do is just go click the 5-star. You ain't got to write anything anymore. Just hit the 5 stars. And of course, like and subscribe. Hop in them comments. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. And, you can find your boy.
Hey,
you can find your boy, the Gravedigger Chev over there.
I forgot. Yeah. I got to tell you, hey, if you say some shit in the comments, I'll be there. I will.
Surprise. Free. All right, y'all. Peace.
See ya.